Welcome to this episode of Brit Be Living, featuring Meghan Young of Tips312. Welcome.
You. Hi.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm okay.
I'm so happy to be sitting here chatting with you.
Thank you.
I want to hear a little bit more about you, your journey. Tell me, how did you come to be in this space?
In what capacity?
As a business owner. So tell me a little bit more about yourself as a business owner.
Well, I'm a new business owner.
Okay.
The business has been open for 9 months. We opened April 2023. And it's been a fun journey. I do still work a regular day job, so
Don't we all?
It is a struggle sometimes between juggling that and owning a business, but I really wouldn't have it any other way. It's been a good start.
Yes. 9 to 5, 5 to 9. Okay. We out here working for that dream.
Yes.
Okay. So you are a business owner, you're a fashionista. Tell me why the beauty business?
I mean, I've simply just been a nail enthusiast. Like, I've always gotten my nails done since I was really young. I used to go to the Bottom when I was in high school, so that was my spot forever. And that experience at the Bottom was like an experience that, like, if you know if you know. Like, if you've never gone there.
So for those of us who don't know, okay, tell me a little bit more about the Bottom, okay?
So the Bottom is a black...
Bottom of the map, like Florida? Okay, I'm sorry.
No, the nail salon is literally called the Bottom. Okay. It's on the west side of Chicago.
Okay.
It is on, if I'm remembering correctly, Chicago Avenue and like off of Central.
Okay.
And this lady named Jackie owned it. And still does. I believe she's still there. She actually reposted me on her Facebook a couple of weeks ago.
Shout out to Jackie.
Because I also mentioned her in my Tribe magazine interview that I had. So she had all these black women in there who were just all raw as hell at doing nails. Like, you could sit with anybody. Everybody was funny, laughing. They was drinking in there.
The real salon experience.
It was just like a good experience. And me and my best friend Kristen used to go there all the time. We would spend all day in there. And this lady named Angie would do our nails. And at the time, we were like 14, 15 years old. We was getting super long nails, all these designs, and they could always do everything that we needed them to do. And it was just a really just wholesome experience. So as obviously I grew up, there was never anything like that. Like, there was never anything that replicated it. You never had any like vibes like that, music that was playing, the type of people that were walking through. Like, there's just nothing like it. And so as I started to continue to get my nails done, I always found myself ending up back at a Vietnamese salon, honestly. It just is the easiest go-to. They take walk-ins. You can find them any given street, any given block.
Like Starbucks, there's one at every corner.
Exactly.
So.
And I feel like I just sat around one day and was like, I feel like I could do this and figure it out. And I also was having some bad experiences with different techs and just like it was just a lot. Like, it was a lot that I couldn't deal with having to have deposits and just different variables that just make it a little complicated.
You don't want a booking link and
I don't want to do any
35 questions before you can.
I don't want to do any of that.
All right,
I just want to walk into a place and get my nails done. And if you can see me, you can see me. And if you can't, I'll come back.
Okay.
Like, it is just, that was the vibe that I wanted to create. And so that's what I did.
Okay. So you want to bring the it girl experience back to your people, to your customers.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me, as a black woman getting into this space, what were some barriers that you might have encountered?
Finding space.
The actual location itself.
Literally finding space and figuring out like how you're gonna fund it all.
Where the money come from?
I will say that I was very blessed to be able to find a community group and a capital group that's based on the south side of Chicago that funded and helped with a lot of the funding of the business. And I was their first recipient that received the amount of funds that I received to open a space like this. And it was a blessing. I couldn't have done it without that funding. And, you know, of course, there were some funds that I put in myself and different ideas that I wanted to do that were outside the funds that I was given. But it worked out. I can't say that it's, you know, always going to be that easy for the average entrepreneur. And I can't even say that that journey is even easy, because at the end of the day, like, you still have to present to a board. You have to put your business plan together. Like, all of these things have to be really, really put together in order to present to people for them to give you the funding that you need. And some people get it and some people don't. And I think the blessing is that I did, and now we're here. It worked out.
But in order to support Black business, you have to fund the
You
Black
have to fund
businesses.
the Black
So,
business.
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And then there's still going to be continued funding for there. Like I want to grow and I want to go to different cities and different states, and it's not free.
You said, listen, it's not free to build the dream. Okay. Well, tell me a little bit more about what's different about Tips 312. So, yes, it's Black owned. Yes, you're here in the community, but how else do you guys stand out?
I mean, I think that also the standout is like they're actually like Black techs and Black women and people of color just in general who are
Yeah.
doing your nails. I mean, I think there are businesses out here that are Black owned. That doesn't mean you're walking into them and like there are Black people working there. And I think that it's nice that you can walk into a space and you have all these different Black and brown people that are in the space who you can relate to and who you can have a good time with and have just like normal ass conversation getting your nails done.
So, you just mentioned a little bit about how you want to grow Tips 312. You plan on expanding. What does that expansion look like? I mean, more in the city, we traveling to different states.
I think we're gonna travel to different states.
Okay.
I feel like I've done what I wanted to do in Chicago. I'm born and raised here. I've built a very nice career here. Tips, I think, is a great like flagship location. It'll probably be our biggest location.
Okay.
But I want to go to DC, which will be the next location, and then LA, Miami, and I want to do an international one that I think I want to try to do in London or Paris.
Okay, so where the Black people at? Okay, at all these places. Okay, I'm ready to go back to London. So let me know.
I've never
We're
been,
having this-
but
oh, okay.
the
well,
nail
we gonna
scene
get the
there
spots.
is
Okay.
very, very interesting. Like
Yes.
it's a very interesting nail scene. There are a lot of Black women there that are doing nails, and they don't really have like those creative spaces. Like London is really saturated with like the European like nail market, and so unfortunately for those Black girls, they do have to kind of reduce themselves sometimes to spaces that they don't necessarily want to be in. And I found that a lot just being on TikTok. I didn't even realize that it was like a thing where like they weren't like really supported. So I'm sure that if there was just like a space that they could do nails, that they'd be more than happy to do that.
Be empowered
Yeah.
to do their craft and
Yeah.
be creative. So yes, all right, a Black woman making sure that other Black women and other people of color can get their just due. I love to see that. Well, okay, you've been telling us a little bit of the challenges and barriers in this space. What are some of the things you love?
I love the people. Like everybody's so cool. Like there's so many different type of women that have walked in here and men that have like walked in here. They come from all over. Like it's a little overwhelming sometimes because it's like people be like, oh, I drove 3 hours to come all the way here.
Okay.
I'm like, what?
Dedication.
Like,
Okay.
like this is crazy, but it's really, really nice to see. And like I will say I've found like a nice group of nail techs that like really support each other and like each other. They support me. They're here right now.
Yes.
Like they're sitting in the back right now.
Shout out to the techs doing the great work.
And
we love them.
they do the work. Like, you know, I think that I was kind of just telling Nina, like I really appreciate, you know, a lot of the accolades that I get, right? Like I get to go do all these cool shows and these
Yeah.
interviews, but it's like they do the work here. Like I don't do nails. Like I'm not a person that comes from a background of doing nails. I'm a nail tech by licensing. I'm not a nail tech by trade. I don't even have the brain capacity to be able to, I truthfully, like, if I'm really, really being honest, sometimes I'm a little impatient getting my nails done. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, I have so many things that I feel like I need to be doing, and like, getting my nails done is obviously a part of our, you know, our beauty care, and we need to do it for self-care, but then at the same time, I'm like, I just need to go to this meeting real quick, can we just, you know? So, you know, I appreciate that, like, I really have a team that, like, wants to sit here and dedicate themselves and wants to grow, and they are really, like, into the business, you know, really pushing me forward a lot of the time, so.
Okay. I mean, no one does it without a team.
Those are the great things.
So a
Yeah.
team is needed, so.
It is.
Well, I mean, you've already told us, you know, born and raised here, so
Yes.
Chicago is where it's at.
Always.
But tell me a little bit more about, what do you love about this city?
There's no other city like it. Period.
true?
Like I went to college at University of Maryland, so I spent a lot of time in Maryland and DC and New York. I've traveled to a bunch of different cities and states, and like Chicago is just really, really unique. Like it has its like own unique style and set of people and mindset, and it's not really a duplicated place. So being the first in Chicago, in the city, if you will, to like have a space like this, like I'm honored that I could like make my stamp.
Yeah. Bringing that goodness from Chicago and spreading it around. So we love this. Okay. Well, speaking of Chicago, I always want to hear about what people love to eat, what people love to check out. Tell me some of your favorite spots.
I'm basic.
Okay. Don't count yourself out. Let's go first. Okay.
I am not, like, I'm a foodie, but I'm not.
Okay. We've already been to Soho House, so where else is good stuff? Okay.
We have, but I'm like a Chinese food girl.
Okay.
Through and through.
Chicago has good Chinese food.
It does.
I mean, are you
really
actually going to the spots in Chinatown?
I'm actually going to Chinatown.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
I'm actually going to Triple Crown.
Okay.
And that's like,
I was like the Joyees, the original Joyees. Okay.
Triple Crown.
Okay. Put me on because I've never been to Triple Crown. Okay.
Literally, I'm there like once a week.
Oh, you love it.
That's my spot.
Okay.
That's my spot.
They know your name.
And then I'm always good with a good burger.
Okay.
Al Cheval.
Okay.
Bop and Grill.
Okay.
Those are the best.
The crowd seems to know.
They do.
If you know, you know.
Yes, they do.
Well, okay. We've already heard some of the crowd is telling us some of what they like to hear, some of what they like to eat. But how about we dive into the crowd and hear from them that are in the room? So you've heard a little bit about Meghan's story, a little bit about what Meghan likes, what she wants to do. We want to hear from you guys. So.
Okay. So you mentioned that you were a nail tech by license and not by trade or practice. So what advice would you give to an entrepreneur who is looking to break into the beauty business, who is not a licensed practitioner or a cosmetologist?
What I will say is you can do it either way. I actually know a good amount of women who own nail salons who are not licensed at all. Like, you do not have to be licensed to run a business like this. But I do think there is a respect level that comes with being able to manage a team and being able to give them feedback, you know what I'm saying, and not really having done that work. I think that when a person in my career, when I'm listening to people or people who are my superiors, I'm listening to them in part because they know what they're talking about. And I didn't ever really want to be in a place where I couldn't necessarily all the way speak to what their experience was. Now, I will also say that there is a very real thin line between that because there is a very real experience that I can't speak from at all. I don't know what it's like to be back to back to back to back and your mind is swirling. You got a lot of anxiety and there's people waiting and you got walk-ins and you got the receptionist running around putting pedicure. I don't know what that's like. So I can't speak from that experience, but from a technical aspect, I can have that conversation.
Good answer. One more question, if I may. Okay, what's your favorite nail set?
Ooh.
That is a good question.
That is a good one.
Like, I know mine, but what's yours?
Leslie. What's my favorite?
Yeah, our nail techs are in the room,
Yes,
so
both
they
of
probably
us.
know us better than we know ourselves.
What's my favorite set? Oh my goodness. Really, actually, my favorite set I just had pretty recently. I did it twice. We replicated a set that was done by a nail tech out in DC. It's like a black, all these different designs. We had a lot of different stones. I can find it on my phone and show you guys so that you can see it, but it was a very kind of like intricate, like black design, which was pretty cool with some stones. But I'm always getting stones. Like, there has to be stones, there has to be bling. I didn't used to always really be that girl, but I'm definitely that girl.
You want some
now.
glam? You want some?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little more
Yeah, I
oomph.
need some extra.
Okay.
You talked about you had a 9 to 5 in addition to this work. I know entrepreneurship is more than a 9 to 5. Can you talk about how you balance all of that?
I feel like I've reached a point in my career where I'm kind of like, I can do what I want. I think it takes time to get there, but I've been a property manager for just about 10 years now. So being able to kind of flow fluidly through my career is just kind of where I'm at in my experience. So I was kind of I'm able to really balance it both. I will say when I first opened the business, it was not an easy balancing act. I did end up leaving the company that I was with prior, and after being in the business for about 4 to 5 months and kind of getting it off the ground, that's when I then reapplied and I'm with a different company now. But I do think you do need to take that time off to like get it off the ground, depending on what's happening. Like I did think it was gonna run kind of like a Vietnamese salon. They didn't have the Vietnamese salons, they don't have a receptionist. They got one person just answering the phone and that's that. But like, they're also not going viral. The news is not coming through. So it was a different type of thing that was going on. And it was, I had to kind of get in here and pull the reins a little bit and then go back to work.
Yeah. Well, actually, I have a few questions based off of that wonderful question, by the way. So to the point about balancing both your 9 to 5 and your entrepreneurship, for that journey for yourself? Do you want to continue to have a 9 to 5 for much longer? Are you thinking you'll ever do entrepreneurship full time?
Yeah, but in the capacity in which I'm kind of doing my 9 to 5. So I'm in real estate, I'm a broker. So the goal is to, at some point, build a development like the ones that I open and manage right now. And originally, the whole point of Tips, truthfully, was to create cash flow so that I could just buy property and build a portfolio. Like, I was very much more interested in getting that off of the ground. But then this happened and it just kind of became a little bigger than me and like actually became a brand. And I'm like, oh shit, like now I'm growing a brand. And like now there's like brand recognition and like my logo is everywhere and it's like a real thing that I didn't really think, I just never thought it was gonna turn into this, and I didn't plan for it to turn into this. This was not in the business plan. It was just like another form of passive income to like buy buildings. And now like I'm in here every day, like me and my team hang out and it's like, it's fun. It's a nice experience. So I think I want to kind of, in some way, conjoin them together a little bit. If I can build a development and have retail at the bottom, why wouldn't that be a nail salon or something that's active for the tenants in the building?
Well, clearly you're all about building things, whether it's buildings themselves, communities. So there's definitely something to be said for that foundation. So, okay. Back to the audience.
You mentioned that you had not seen other salons with the vibe that you wanted to create. So my question is, who were your helpers? Did you have any mentors that you could speak to about this process? Did you have anybody that could relate to you with the growing pains and the behind the scenes things that were tough? Did you have somebody that you could call and talk to?
Yes and no.
I was like, be honest.
Yes and no. I will say that even right now, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a mentor, even in the space that I'm in right now, 9 months in. I don't think that I have really found somebody who is, I would say, passionate about the way that I'm trying to build this business, because it's not just a nail salon. Like it's not only for the clients, but also for my nail techs. You know what I'm saying? Like I want them to feel like they're getting something out of being here and not just coming to do nails. And so having programs that like continue education, which is like what we're starting in January, being able to create different forms of income for them within the salon space. So like that's also the point of opening other nail salons, is so that it kind of creates like a Uber for the nail techs. Like if you want to pick up and go to Miami, you got a nail salon there that you're familiar with, you know the people.
Love that.
Everything kind of runs the same. And I don't think anybody understands like what that really looks like. To be able to guide me on that path. So it's really, I'm more so, I guess, at this point looking for a mentor who can financially give me understanding. But I don't think anybody at this point in the game, until someone else does what I'm doing, which I do want other Black women to do. Like I think that these types of businesses are businesses that do need to be created so that you continue to just stimulate the market. Like Asian people have literally 60 nail salons on one block. Some of them are all owned by the same people and they're literally just popping up all on the same block. And some of them aren't, but like, I think that we need to also be doing those same exact things. So to answer your question in short, not necessarily, but in terms of having somebody to like lean on and cry to and like having a partner in the business, Erica is right back there. She is, I would say, my director of operations of the business. She literally like came in probably about 2 to 3 months before I opened and like dove right in, helped me set up a lot of things that like I didn't even remember that I needed to set up. I'm trying to just get the space open. She's like, well, did you set up an employee system? Did you set up payroll? And I'm like, no, like I just need couches. Like, I just need to get this space cute and open in April. And so like she created an entire back end system. She created a lot of like our protocols and our systems and our workbooks and just different things that I couldn't all the way think about, because I did also do this entire build out myself. So like this space wasn't here. This was a concrete box. These windows weren't here. I had to do an entire renovation. I project managed the entire project while I was working a job. I didn't quit my job until about a week into opening the business. And so before that, I was fully project managing this space, working with contractors that I had never worked with. I had another girlfriend who was in the construction business and was able to kind of step in and speak that language, because although I'm a property manager, I don't speak construction. I'm not necessarily building the buildings. I'm just opening them when they're done being built. So like being able to speak that language with the contractors, like I had a ton of people who like kind of jumped in and helped me, and I couldn't be more thankful. So like no one can do it alone. No one can do it alone.
So you kind of been figuring it out as you go.
Yeah.
You've kind of been figuring it out as you go.
Yeah.
You're a trailblazer.
Yeah, I would like to say so. I would like to say so. I
You are.
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Keep going, girl.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, to that point about a team, tell us a little bit more about how you went about building your team. Was it just people you happen to know and you told them what you were doing? Were you like, oh, I know I need this and I have no clue how to do it myself. Let me go find this person. So
The second one.
the second, you said it was trial by fire. I figured it out as I went.
The second one, I had no clue who to reach
Okay.
out to in regards to nail techs. I was going off of pictures and vibes. And
That looks good, I think.
and that didn't suit me well at all, actually. So when we first opened, we opened up with a group of 12 women, and it fizzled out very, very, very quickly. By the time we hit probably, I would say the third week in April, we had 4 girls. And they rocked out the whole summer.
Okay.
And we were booked back to back to back. Like our TikTok went viral. We had a couple of girls in here who were posting all the time. We had a lot of influencers that were popping in. And it was insane. Like there was one week, I think we did like 172 appointments.
Ooh.
Like it was insane. There were 4 girls in here.
The blessing of busy business,
Like,
but yes.
it was insane. So then hired a couple of more people, didn't really work, got back to kind of the basic 4. I think we had added one more. So at that point we were at 5. And then just recently I added another girl to the team, and it's been cool. And the group that I have right now, like I was like, I'm done. Like I'm not hiring any more people. I like these people. It works with these people. They get it. Whatever we can't work out, we're gonna work out. And as we continue to get more busy, when we get into the summer, I'll start potentially hiring people then, but we'll kind of see how it goes. But the team I have right now, they're solid.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to build it brick by brick.
Brick
so,
by brick.
okay. Tech by tech, okay? Okay, back to the crowd. There were some questions, I believe, some hands raised.
So you talked about building your team and the nail techs, but I kind of wanted to go back to you saying you really wanted the vibe of the Vietnamese nail salon. I think all of us can say that we've been in that nail salon, and they're not always the friendliest. So how did you go about knowing, like, okay, I'm interviewing you. This is the personality that I want people to see when they're coming in or have the experience with?
I can't say I always got that right.
Well, you said they fizzled out. I mean, sometimes you
I can't say that I always got that right. But we are here. You know what I'm saying? It took a little minute to really be able to like pinpoint the girl who I'm like, okay, I like the personality, everything else we can work on. But yeah, that was trial by error. Like I can't say, and I can't even say I all the way still have it figured out, because sometimes I think, especially as we start to flow back into the busy season, I think as a nail salon owner, you can't even think about that sometimes, because you're like, I just need to get these girls on the floor because it's people in the waiting, and like all that personality stuff we'll figure out later. But then you draw back a little bit and you're like, dang, but that client not gonna come back now because they don't even like this girl they sat with. So there's a little bit of trial and error that comes into that. And like I said, I think the team that I have right now, like they're solid, they get it, like they're super, super friendly. I think the managers that we have in place set a really good example of like how you need to be with your clients and like the customer service that we're really trying to give. And I am like super serious about customer service. That is one thing that like I don't really give a lot of chances on. Like once you've done something in pertaining to customer service, like it's
I mean, it's good to hear though, because I think that's a thing that we hear a lot of negative connotation when it comes to Black-owned businesses. Is that we don't have great customer service. So to hear that you're taking it serious, I think that's just something that we appreciate.
It's very serious, but I also will say that, like, I think on the flip side of it, because I was having this conversation with my mom too, it's like
How the customers are.
you know, Black-owned businesses to the question that she just asked, I don't have anybody who I can call and ask like how I do this or how do I navigate this or what does this look like. Everything that I'm taking anything off of is my own personal experience and my own personal career as a manager. But like, I also think that there's an onus on the client and the community to give that grace in the times of not lack of customer service. Because what I can say is that Tips does a very good job of making sure that like you are treated fairly. If you don't like something or something's off, you can come back and get it redone. Like we're not weird about stuff like that. Like we do have policy, like policy is policy and we try to stick to it as best as we can. But there's a gray area. And if we screw up, we screw up and we're going to take care of it. But everybody's not perfect. And we are dealing with nail techs and nail techs of color who are coming into the nail tech world, who are young, who don't have examples themselves, who the examples are people who are more individual techs, whether they be in booth rent salons or they're in suites where they don't have examples of being in actual nail salons. Being a booth rent tech and being in a nail salon is not the same experience as a nail tech. It's not the same. You're not dealing with clients back to back. You don't have this plethora of demographic of women or men that you're dealing with. Because most nail techs have that. You have some nail techs who are like, I only do acrylics only and no pedicures. So
I've seen a few of those.
So then that'll let you know that their niche of demographic is they liked her, and that's that. Where you have women who come in here who you getting gel X, you getting dip, you getting this, you getting that, and you have to be able to understand that like these techs are growing. You know, they're super young and they're growing, and so if you don't like something, that's okay. But let's try to give that with a little bit of grace so that I'm able to then continue to build. Because if not, then I can't. So I just, I think it goes a little bit both ways in our community sometimes.
I love your story because it's like similar to mine when I got into hair. Had no idea what I was going to do with it, and then it just kind of turned into its own thing. It's been a blessing. So at this point, I heard a couple questions pertaining to mentorship, and it sounded like you're turning into what you didn't have. You are a Swiss Army knife of entrepreneurship, apparently. So in my mind, two questions. One, it sounds like you're already kind of like creating programs for mentees, but also through the programs and with you wanting to expand, do you see yourself opening up to in-house investment? Because it seems like you're kind of like molding some of the nail techs to be more than just nail techs, and which will create opportunities for business partners potentially. And I'm only saying this because I've been in positions where my mentors have created business opportunities for me that help me grow my brand. And the analogy he used to always use, which was real, it was real unique. I've worked at shops as an employee and, just paid booth rent. But when I left and went to this other shop, just kind of, just left on the whim, I actually got fired from the shop, and then I ended up going there. And he said, here, it's like the NBA. Collectively, we're the NBA, but you're the Boston Celtics, you're the Chicago Bulls, you're the Los Angeles Lakers. So essentially, he allowed us to build our brands underneath one roof. And so I was wondering, like, is that something that you think about doing with your mentees and like just opening up the door for other people that might aspire to be like you and, you know what I'm saying, things like that?
Is Tips the league?
The league.
Okay,
it's the league.
teams in the back.
I was screaming.
Just want to make sure people knew. Okay.
You are so funny. Yes, 100%. I definitely want to inspire even the nail techs that are in my space and other nail techs who are not in this space to be able to do what I'm doing and to do it with a guide. I can't say that I will ever be a brand that's just like kind of spearheading other brands up under me. I don't really see that for myself. I think Tips will always be the overwhelming window. But I do want my nail techs to understand that like being able to create other form of income is something that is very important and should be happening. And if that means that you are leaving here and opening up Leslie's nail salon down the street, that's exactly what I want you to do. I don't want you to feel like, because the whole point is that like, it's almost like a graduation, like you come full circle at some point. And I want Tips to be a corporation. I don't even look at Tips as just any old nail salon. Like I literally want it to be in like major conversations with like, I think all of the companies that I've mirrored in terms of like trying to figure out my branding and finances are like Southwest, McDonald's, Nordstrom, like Fab 5 big brand companies, and I want to be exactly in line with those. I don't want, I want it to be way bigger than just like, oh, it's just a nail salon that you go to on the street. And I don't think any nail salon has built a brand necessarily like that. So not only do I want them to feel like they can take the opportunities to potentially leave here and start something else, I'll fully endorse and might even invest, right? But I also want them to understand that you can be a nail tech in Tips, you could be potentially a director of nail techs in Tips, you could be the director of the salons in Tips, and it can grow into something that's way bigger than just being a nail salon.
You trying to supercut the nail game.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah.
I like
And
that
also,
analogy.
and just to piggyback on that, I mean, like, that was his whole method. Anthony Jones, AJ Style Barber Beauty
Oh, fair
Salon. I
enough.
gotta pay homage to the big
Yes.
bro. But his thing was catch and release. Like, he never wanted you to feel like this was the only pond that you could be in. And also, too, he didn't care about having fish. He wanted sharks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I don't really care about I want all the people who I have in here, I have to be able to develop into a leader. If you're not already one in the right of, right? I think that there are girls who are young who come in here who don't even know the potential of what they can be. And so I'm more than proud to like be that vessel for them to understand who they can be, to grow past here if they feel like they want to. I mean, I look at myself, I've had 100 jobs. I'm not loyal to any company. You know what I'm saying? If you
Loyal to yourself.
like, and that is just what it is, and not necessarily that's like what I'm preaching to my techs, but I always tell them like, if you feel like there's a better opportunity elsewhere, I'm supporting you, and I'm happy to say that like you started here in Tips. I've had Leslie's was my first tech hired. Like I literally hired her in February. I didn't open till April. Like, you know, and if there's a time where like she's done great work here and she's like, look, like, you know, New York is calling. Please go. Please. And let me help you get there.
Well, I'll leave you with this. I just want to let you know it is a blessing.
Thank you.
To have people that want to be a part of someone's story and not be their story. Too often we catch too many people that want to be your story, and it's kind of like you willing to be a foundation, a middle, you create an opportunity, somebody come in for one thing and might want to venture out to something else. God bless you. And
Thank you.
With this spot, if you ever want to throw an open mic, said I'm willing to host it. You know what I mean?
Not
Yeah.
Listen, we're closed on Mondays. Whatever y'all want to do with the space, hit me up.
You talk about access to resources, and you did your thing. You got your funding from the resources that you did have. But what about how, even though in spite of the success that you had, what about the sort of access to resources and the sort of traditional banking world? How can you speak on that?
Yeah, no, they're not giving you no loans on the bank. You're not getting a loan at all. I think the blessing, right, was that I got the funding to start it up, but that was literally startup. Like that was literally startup funds in aesthetics. We made it pretty. We got the supplies that we needed, but then like, oh my God, I wish I would have really, really thought about what it looked like after the first 3 months. But I will say, I didn't think I was gonna be this busy in the first 3 months. So I bought the supplies that I bought. I'm like, my business model was based on doing 6 clients a week. So I made my business model like the smallest number I could make it, because I do not wanna overpromise and underdeliver. I want to deliver exactly what I think I could deliver. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have like 3 nail techs. They're gonna do 6 clients a week, and that's that. That was not what was happening at all. And running out of supplies, having to be at the nail store and the depot, like I was going there like, what, every week? I was like, this is freaking crazy. And like using my own money, I was running out of money. It was insane. We made it to the other
Lessons were learned.
Lessons were learned. Lessons were learned. And like going into the new year, like being able to really plan not only for the busy season, but then also planning for the slow season. I also wanted, and obviously it's still in the plans, but want to have a nail salon where like having a slow season really isn't a thing. Like I don't want to be that salon where it's like, oh, we get slow. It's like, no, we busting all year round. And I really had an ego of like, that was gonna happen year one. And it really hit a halt on me, because we had a day where we had a week where like literally 3 clients walked in, and I'm like, and I was so hurt. And like I was in a neighborhood where I was managing a building, like helping them manage a building, and I was like, I'm about to walk into all these nail salons on the block. I was walking into other nail salons, like seeing if they were busy, because I was so like, is it me? Like, is my stuff not booming? Like, are other nail salons doing business?
You gotta do recon work. Like all BS aside, recon work in this field of providing and cosmetology, you have to. It's
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah, and
You're doing a lot of scope.
I had to. I was walking into every salon. I was on blocks. I was like, okay, they slow too great.
It's all new, so
Yeah.
you didn't know.
I had
you
no clue.
you were shooting low, but you also were like, wait a minute, I want to make sure that
What's
we
going
are
on?
hitting our mark.
Because then you look at the salons in the neighborhood. Like I'm in the West Loop, so there are like a good 3 or 4 other salons. And like they low key booming, but those are white women, and like they're not even doing the same type of situation in nails that we have going on here. So, you know, I look at them and I'm like, okay, I also understand what's going on. West Loop is very much so also a transplant neighborhood. So there's a lot of different people who don't know what they got going on. They just kind of going into these Vietnamese salons. But then when you really get down to the nitty gritty of like where some of these salons sit in like real neighborhoods where like mine is in the heart of the neighborhood, it's like, yeah, you're gonna have slow days. But you know, being able to plan for that and make sure that you're not running into like financial woes and financial issues during that time is something that you want to plan for. So we're better prepared for 2024, I tell you that.
Standing on business.
Always.
Okay.
On next.
Can do it again. And we look forward to seeing that.
Yay.
So, well, Meg, thank you
You're
again for
welcome.
joining me on Brit Be Living.
Thank you for
I look
having
forward to one,
me.
getting my nails done real soon.
Period. Because you've been done real bad.
Hey, real bad.
Real
real
bad.
bad.
Which is the slogan.
Yes.
Which is the slogan. And I also want to say, you know, just giving like, you guys are, I'm sure, all entrepreneurs. I haven't been able to talk to all of you, but I'm sure you guys all have businesses or different things that you're wanting to do, and just really trying to connect. Like I really took what Issa Rae said in one of her podcasts of like being able to really connect laterally. Like I'm not so pressed about like trying to get too high at the top. Like I have a business in here now, like they're selling their clothes in here, and like she has a really good business with a really good following who I know are into like wellness and self-care, and it just aligns with my business. So it just makes sense to like do different things like that. And so like anything that y'all have going on, like align with different businesses, try to like talk to whoever and like put your shit together so that like both the demographics of people that y'all are trying to serve like have one like kind of central place where they can spend money in a couple different places.
Yes, that intentional collaboration. We love to see it.
Shop Black Women Are Essential. They're in the back.
Well, again, thank you for joining me on Brit Be Living, and take care.
Thanks.